Hello everyone and welcome to our latest video. Today we're diving deep into the world of Diablo 4 with a Q&A session featuring the developers themselves. We'll be discussing Strongholds, difficulty levels, the damage curve, and Rune system. A significant part of the Q&A was dedicated to telling you about a new breakthrough mechanic that Activision Blizzard decided to integrate into their project for the first time, as it is designed to make your gaming experience better. The name of this mechanic is Fortresses. Don't worry if at first glance it looks unfamiliar. In fact, behind the incredible word forts there are well-known forts that developers of absolutely different projects love to fill up the gameplay in the open world, because the gaming industry hasn't invented anything interesting so far. In the case of Diablo 4, the forts will become an important milestone of your journey, because without capturing them you will not be able to move further on the map, due to the fact that these points of interest are located in key places on the map. To make clearing hundreds of identical forts seem less boring, the developers declared that each fortress will be unique in terms of creatures, history, loot, and bosses located inside it. That's why its passage will always present you with a completely unique and distinctive experience from the other hundreds of forts. Once this point of interest has been freed from the demonic threat, you can cross paths with other players in it, and after a while, it may even be inhabited by friendly non-player characters who will share additional quests and loot with you. In addition, each fortress, once captured, will grant you access to additional activities around it. As an example, the developers cited clearing demonic pylons, aka towers, from any other open-world game. A little mystery has also been lifted on the difficulty levels. Curiously enough, the data from the developers Activision Blizzard completely coincided with the information we received back in early January from the pirate server Blizzles. In particular, we now know for certain that switching from one difficulty level to another will reduce your physical and magical defenses by 10% for each level increase. The system is exactly the same as the one provided in Diablo 2, so you're definitely not confused by it. Moreover, the developers introduced the resistance and physical protection limitation of 85%, so you won't be able to level up higher, and this will prevent you from ignoring the incoming damage. The developers also worked on the damage curve, so as the difficulty level or level of your character increases, you will not experience a shortage of damage to the enemy. In previous parts of the game you could encounter a situation where your attacks literally caused no damage to the enemy. Here, however, with proper character development, you will feel approximately the same impact on any difficulty level. Separate attention was paid to the population of the world around you, because a significant part of the community is concerned about the number of players that we can meet in the course of their wanderings. Here the developers have answered in their style, and it is worth noting that in general it seemed that this question shouldn't have been included in their QA session, simply because they didn't intend to answer it. Representatives of Activision said that during your wanderings through the hostile locations you will almost never meet other users, but when you visit the city you will be able to see a lot more friendly players and even trade with them. In general, the decrease in the number of active participants on the server has long been reported from various insiders, because after the huge number of complaints about this in Diablo Immortal, the developers have revised their approach to this system. On the other hand, it's not entirely clear why there's such secrecy. Even in the closed beta testing for loyal fans of the series in November last year, it became known that one server will shift 32 players, similar to the Tower of Fantasy and Blue Protocol, which mechanically act as the inspiration for the fourth part of the series. Purely theoretically, the developers may be afraid of the possible reaction of the community to this information, and may not want to draw parallels with other products, although on the other hand this may be because they have not yet fully defined exactly how many people should be in your environment at one time. There was also some space during the session to talk about upcoming announcements. The fact is that the company representatives did not have time to prepare all the material for the players, and in part they did not want to do so, because then they would have nothing to tell you about in the near future. Nevertheless, they have shed some light on the material that will be made available to the community after the open beta. In particular, the team is going to demonstrate a significant portion of the maximum level content, as well as talk about the features of the seasonal system in Diablo 4. Additionally, we'll be given a certain amount of attention and the trading mechanics, which has been borrowed from Diablo 3. But here, too, no details. The main news from the QA broadcast was the information that the developers have not removed the Rune system completely. The fact that since the summer of 2022 on the internet information from Activision Blizzard is that the mechanics of runes, which was supposed to be in Diablo 4, was removed. Then representatives of the company said that the system does not meet the needs of the time, and so they decided to abandon its implementation. Information was given in passing, and therefore it has not reached everyone, and users who do not follow with their mouths open for every news item on the fourth part just did not notice it. Now, however, the team has reported that the runes have been frozen rather than cancelled. This is due to the fact that the upcoming release of Diablo has too many different systems, and therefore the developers do not have time to implement them all properly. Because of this, the runes have been frozen, and they will be brought back a little later, along with the release of new paid DLC. So if you were worried that the developers have finally abandoned this mechanic, now the reasons to worry should be less, because very soon you will be able to enjoy this system by buying a new DLC. Now the developers have decided to focus on more important mechanics, among which is a system of pets, which can be stroked. At the moment, there is no unified vision on this issue in Activision, but they strive to complete the system before the launch of the closed beta test, so the maximum number of users will be able to assess its level of development. On the whole, it can be seen that expectations for the QoS session that took place were far too high. The game's director, the notorious Joe Shelley, described the upcoming event in great detail and said that the team is going to share a lot of very important details that will blow your mind. In reality, however, we've seen a rather bland presentation that simply confirmed the data the community already has. Some of the information, such as high-level content that has been covered in its entirety dozens of times already, was decided to be presented separately after some time. It is difficult to say whether the company's plans were wider or it was just another marketing ploy to attract attention to the QoS session, but globally it is very difficult to call it interesting. In terms of content, it significantly loses out even to a small video that the developers released on the official channel, sharing an insignificant amount of details. On the other hand, we have learned some information about the fact that Activision has again made a U-turn in the air, and Rune system will still be introduced, which means an interesting gameplay will still be presented in the project, albeit after a while. Now we just have to wait for the closed and open beta testing to fully understand how well the product is made and whether it is really as good as the company representatives are trying to present it. That's the end of my video. If you liked it or found it useful, please like it and share your impressions in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe because it really does motivate me to release new content as soon as possible and keeps you updated when it's released. Thanks in advance for your engagement and see you very soon.